So hello class, today we are going to talk about spreadsheet formulas. So in our previous lesson, we discussed how to use the Google Workspace. So we tackled the mail merge, how to use the Google Form, the Google Docs, and the Google Sheets. So today we are going to focus more on the spreadsheet and the things that you can do with spreadsheet. So in this part of the lesson, we will learn how to use Google Sheets to make mathematical calculations. This is useful in bookkeeping and accounting tasks. Before we go ahead and make calculations, we first have to familiarize ourselves with the parts of a spreadsheet program, particularly Google Sheets. So the parts of Google Sheet is toolbar. So the toolbar, the icons at the top of the page are called toolbars. So these are present in most Google Workspace tools, and each icon in the toolbar has a different function, such as changing font style, size, printing, saving your document, and zooming in and out. So the formula bar, the section below the toolbar, is called the formula bar. So the text box on the right side is called the input line. It's integral to adding formulas. So this is the this is the part of where you are going to put your formulas later on. So you can enter mathematical equations on this formula also. So we have the cell. So each box in the table is called a cell. So each cell is named after the combination of row and column it belongs to. So for example, the upper leftmost cell is A1. The cell below it is A2. And the one beside it is B1. So when we say cell, we are talking about the specific position of the data in a table. So we all know that in a table we have columns and rows. So as you see here, we are selecting a cell, right? So when you see this one that I selected, it says B, column B, and row 8, right? So it the Google Sheet automatically knows which cell you are. It has a it has a name. It has a naming. Um, it has a naming feature, so that whenever you put data in your table, you can be able to know from what the location is and what the name of the cell is, right? So next, we have columns. So the columns in the Google Sheet. So the columns is a vertical grouping of cells, so marked by letters. So as you can see, we have here the columns A, B, C, D, and so on. Then for the rows, we have here, it is horizontal. So so these are the rows. So when you select here, these are the rows, right? So it is on a numerical uh, numbering. So as for the columns, it will be the letters. Okay, that's why earlier when we select a specific cell, you will be able to identify which cell it belongs to and what column. So let's say here is B8, B9, right? B, row 9. Okay, so when we select here, we have A, row 9, right? So A9 for short. So we have entering formulas. So a formula is a mathematical equation that can be applied to one or multiple cells. So formulas can use data from their own cell and other cells to calculate a result. In Google Sheets, formulas always start with an equal sign. Here are some common formulas you might use. So we have the basic operations. So we have addition, we have subtraction, multiplication, and division. So let's try to do that. So in this example, we have a simple computation for the net income. So the gross sale minus the expense in order to find the net income, right? So what we will do here is we are going to change this to, we will try the subtraction part, right? So let's say we want to minus the gross sale and expense, right? So you just put equal, then the name of the cell. So for this one is A2 minus A3. Oh, I'm sorry, B3. B2. I mean B2. Okay. So it's going to be negative 2000. So why is it negative 2000? Because when calculating for the net income, if the gross sale must be higher than the expense. So if the gross sale is not higher than the expense, so it means that the net income will be a negative number, because in a real life scenario, if your expense is greater than your income, of course it's equivalent to zero, right? So it means you didn't earn anything. So that's why this is a negative number. So how can we make this an output of zero? So later I will show you how. So let's try this one here. So we have already have a formula here. So same formula. A3 equal sign, you just put an equal sign, then A3 minus B3. So simple as that. And if you want to add, you can just use a formula, like let's say A2 plus B2, right? So we have 4000. Okay? So let's try A2 times, let's say A2 times A3, right? So we have 5 million. I guess this is 5 million. I think it's billion. So yeah, that's how you do it. Then if we want to divide, then we can just simply divide. Then I will try to use B2 here. So the output is 0.3. So let's try if it's correct. So 1000 divided by 3000. So it's 0.33, right? Okay. Okay. So that's pretty much it for the basic mathematical operations, right? In using the formula. So now we're gonna proceed to the functions. So in Google Sheets, we have different functions that you can use. So for this instance, we have sum. So sum, it will, from the name itself, it will add all the values depending on the cell that you prefer, right? So in this example, we have sum, open parenthesis, then A1 colon A10, right? So let's try to do that. So for example, let's try to put here sum. So you see that it's already recommending me to sum an item, right? So this is what you're just going to do. Just type sum. So let's do this manually. Let's type sum. Then inside, let's call a cell. So I want to I want to add numbers from C2 to cell C5, right? Let's do that. So what happens? It added it. So the output is, the sum is 57,000, right? So let's check if that's correct. So 49,000. So I'm just gonna use a scientific calculator here. It says 59,000. Oh, why is it minus 59,000 plus negative 2,000, right? Oh. Let's just quickly change this to 10,000. Okay, so let's double check again. We're gonna go back to my standard calculator. So 7,000 plus 49. Sorry, 7,000 plus 49,000 plus 6,000 plus 4,000. So we had 66,000. So it's correct, right? Then we also have, if you want to say, for instance, let's delete this again. So let's try here on other cells. So if you want to add, let's say you want to add all the numbers in the columns in column C, right? You want to add this. So you have to, so then what you want to do is you need to put a starting cell where you will start to add, right? So let's say I want to start from C2. Then just put colon, then type C. So just like that. So what this do is it will compute all the values in your C, starting from C2. So C2 down to the last cell if it has a value, right? So it will only add um, non-empty cells, right? So if I try to add another number here, let's say I'll try to add another number here. So it automatically adds the 6,000, right? Since we put a value here. So if we add another one, it will keep on adding, right? So let's try 10,000 again. Okay, so that's how you do it. So let's just erase this. So that's how you can use this one, right? So you can also use this. This is very helpful. This this kind of this sum function, because it you don't have to manually add cell by cell, right? So now we're gonna proceed to the second function, which is the average. So in the average, the purpose of the average function is to calculate the average of range of cells, right? So from the name itself. So same syntax. Just put average, then the range of the cells, right? So you can also do what we did earlier. So if you want to calculate the average of all the numbers in a cell, then just put A, right? So let's try to do that. So let's go with C again. We're gonna calculate the average, right? So starting from C2, then down to the last cell, right? I want all numbers to be added, starting from C2 to compute the average. I mean, not add. Okay, 16.5 is the average. So let's check if that's correct. So in computing the average manually, is you have to first add all the numbers, right? Plus 4,000. Then divide it by if um how many numbers are they, right? So for this instance, we have 4 numbers, right? So divide 4. So it's correct. It's 16.5, right? So you can also, if you want to manually do this, you can also use this one to check the average, right? Like the sum. If you will see here, up. Sorry for that. So we have the sum. So since you have to first uh, add it, right? So we have sum C2 colon C. Then you will divide it to the cell F7. So F7 is, I use account function here. So we will discuss this now. So this is the next function. So the count function. So the purpose of the count function is only to count the number of cells. So same process. If you will see here on my formula, just put count, then select the range, right? So for me, I want to count all the cells that has a data in it, right? So it will automatically count how many cells that has a data on your C, right? So if I try to add another number here, so it will automatically count 5, right? Because I added one data, right? So if I add all data anywhere here on the C column, it will automatically know the cell, right? So let's delete that. So going back to this manually setting the average, right? So why did I put F7 here? So what I did, because in order to compute the average, right, you have to first add all the numbers, then how many numbers are there, divided by how many numbers are there, which is 4. So I don't, what if I have too many data there, right? So I don't have to like manually count them in order to know what number I need to divide. So instead of doing that, I use the count function to count the number of data here on C. Then I will call this cell, so it is F7, then I will put it here. So divide by F7. So no matter how many, so if this gets updated, then it will automatically divide it here, right? If this becomes 5, then it will divide 5 here. So that's just how manually you can do the average, to compute the average without using the average function. So now we're done with count function, we're going to proceed with minimum function. So what minimum function does is that it will just find the lowest value, right? The lowest value depending on the range that you stated. So let's see here the formula. So for this one, what I did is I put equal, then the minimum. Just type minimum, then same process. Open parenthesis, then inside that is the range that you want to that you want to put, right? Because the range of numbers that you want to find the lowest value on them, right? So for this instance, I want to find the lowest number from C2, cell C2, then from cell C2, then so on and so forth, right? So since this is the formula to compute all the data in the cell, so C2, then colon C. But if you want to just put a specific range, then you go ahead and just type the name of the cell, right? But for me, to I just want to select all the cells in my column C. So it says here the output is 4,000, so which is correct, right? Because the lowest number on these four numbers is 4,000. So that's how you can use minimum function. So with max function, pretty much the same, but in max you just gonna have to it just finds the highest number in the data that you selected, right? So for this instance, it's 49,000. Correct? Okay. So that's how you can use the min and max function. So now we are going to proceed on using logical statement, if statement, and the or and logical operator, and how we can use it together, right? As you can see here below. So for if statement, so let's start. So for if statement, you can use um, one condition here. So for if statement, what this does is that you can be able to compare. You can be able to put a condition, and if that condition is true, it will output this value, right? Then if it's false, then it will output this 0. So you can change the values here. So you just put, so let's just show you quickly. So a2, let's say I want a2 is greater than b2, right? So let's close that. Then if a2 greater than b2, cell b2 is true, then this should out then I want to out display the total sum of the column C. So I will just put sum, then C2, then C, right? Then space. If the value is false, so you can do whatever you want here, but for me, I'll just stick with 0, right? You can also uh, input a text here if you want. To do that, you just put here double comma, I mean double quotation, then condition is false. Okay, so since it is true, it will output the total sum, right? So up, so it's 66,000. So it outputs 66,000 because of the sum of the C column. So let's check if it's correct. 39,000. It's correct. So 66,000. That's correct. So, but I want to check if this value will display if the condition is false. So it's very important that you always check your formula, right? Check if the condition is false. It should, if the condition is false, check if it's this one is working, right? Not just the true condition, right? So take note, guys, when using the if statement, you must first put the first put the condition, right? The logical condition. So this is a2 greater than b2. Then the very first value that you will put here is the value if the logical statement is true. Then the next value that you will put is if it is the value is false, right? So let's try to make the conditional statement wrong. So let's say this is less than b2, right? So let's set this to 100. So what happened? It displays condition is false, right? So our formula is correct, right? Our formula is working. So we we checked if it will display this the sum of the C column if it's the condition is true, which is working. Then we also check if the value of if the condition is false. We also check if it will display this text, which worked perfectly just fine, right? As you can see here. So that's how you can use the if statement, right? Okay, so now, so let me just check my condition here. Okay, it's correct. So let's just double check again since I changed the values in the gross sale. So plus 49,000. Okay, it's correct. Working just fine. Then we're going to proceed with the OR logical operator. So in OR logical operator, what we are going to do is we are going to use these operators inside the if statement. So the purpose of this OR conditional statement is that, I mean the operator, is that you can, if you can put multiple um, conditional statement like what you are seeing here, right? Okay, so in order to do this, let's start from the beginning. Let's remove all of this, right? So that we can be, so that it will be all clear to us. So to use the OR inside the if statement, use OR, right? Then double open parenthesis. Then inside the OR, just for you are going to first put the value, right? Let's say A2 is greater than B2, right? So A, and we just want another one. So if A2 is less than B2, then just outside the OR statement, put a comma. Then just what I said earlier, you will put the first value will be the if one of the statement is true, right? So I will show you, or I will show you, explain it later. Okay, so let's just put here, make sure guys to double check your open parenthesis. So remember that the OR statement is still inside the if statement, right? So don't forget uh, any closing parenthesis, because it might be confusing if you have so many statement inside your if, right? So just double check it to avoid any errors. So condition is false. Okay, so let me explain the OR operator. So the purpose of the OR operator is that if this statement if this statement is true, which is showing here, right, then it will output this one, right? But what if this statement is false? If that statement is false, it will check the second your second conditional statement. So A2 is greater than B2, which is false. So it will not go through, right? But if let's assume this is true, right? If this is true, it will still it will still it will display this sum, right? Since this is the value that will be displayed if one of the condition is true. So the purpose of OR statement is that you can be able to check, right? Like you can be able to have multiple conditional statements, and you can be able to use you can be able to display the sum if it's one of them is true. So it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be all true. So the purpose of OR is to check which one of your conditional statement is true. Then if it checks the first one, that if it checks the first one and it says that it is true, then it will automatically display this one. But if both if after checking these two conditional statements and both of them are false, then it will display the condition is false, right? So that's how you can play with OR logical operator. So even if you have conditions that didn't met, or that is not true, it will be it will have no errors because it will check the your other statements. So it will not stop checking until until one of your condition is true, right? But if, like I said, all of the conditions that you put here, multiple conditional statements that you put here is not true, then we have a this will get displayed, right? So that's how OR works. It doesn't it doesn't have to be all true. As long as one conditional statement is true, then it will display this one, right? So that's how OR works. So let's try to check our formula. So it since both of these are, so this one is false, right? But since it already the conditional statement is already true, the first conditional statement is already true, then it will not proceed to checking the second one, and instead it will automatically display this one, the sum, right? Since it's true. But I want to make it all false. I want to make all conditions false. So let's do that so that we can be able to display this text here that says the condition is false. Okay, so let's try that. So what I will do, since our condition here is A2 is greater than B2 or A2 is less than B2, so what I will do is I will change the value of A2 it equal to B2, so that it will not continue to input the value of the if the condition one of the condition is true. So let's change this to 3000, so it must be equal to B2. All right, so you see what happened. The condition is false, so the or logical operator check both of your conditional statement that you have, and the or logical operator find out that your all of this condition is false. So instead of proceeding to displaying the sum of the column C, it will proceed to the condition is false, right? So that's how you can that's how you use or logical operator, right? So now, the AND logical operator. So let's put this back to the way it was. So let's put 10,000. Okay. So that the AND logical operator. So this one, what this will do is it will it is different from OR because the AND logical operator, what this will do is all your condition here must be true, and if one of them is false, it will then it will not proceed to displaying the sum of the C column. Instead, it will display this one. All condition is false. So this is like miss one, miss all. So if one condition is false, it is all false, right? Even if the second statement is correct, even if that's true, it doesn't matter anymore. If one is false, then it's automatically false. So that's how it works, right? So for this one, so it's not displaying the condition is false, right? So why is that? So the syntax here is pretty much the same with OR, right? So you just have to change the OR to AND. So just like what I did on the OR logical. So it's inside the if, then just change it to AND. So that's how you can do it. So anyway, so A2 is greater than B2. So that's correct, right? So 10,000 is greater than the B2, 3,000. And A3 is greater than B3. So that's correct also. So both of them are true. So since both of them are true, it will add the column, it will add the sum of the column C, right? Just like what we, just like what it says here, right? So what if one of them is wrong? Let's try to make this first condition wrong. So it says here A2 is greater than B2. So, okay, so let's try that. Let's set this lower. So automatic condition is false, right? But the A3 greater than B3 is true, right? But why did it display all condition is false instead of some? Because like what I said, if this one condition is false, it's all false, even if this one is true. So that's how you can do it, right? That's how AND logical operator works. So let's try to correct the first let's try to correct the first conditional statement, right? And let's make this one less than the B3, right? So it's the same. So even if your first condition here is true, so this one is true, right? Let me just, I can't highlight it, why? So the first condition is true, A2 greater than B2, correct? This one, 10,000, 3,000, right? But your second condition is false, right? A3 is not greater than B3. So automatically, it will display this one. All condition is false, right? So it doesn't matter if one of them is true, right? As long as one of your condition is false, it will automatically go to this one, right? It's automatically false. So it must all be true. So that's how AND logical operator works, right? So okay, so let's put this back again. Okay, so for the IFS statement, this is just simply this is just simply more of a shortcut to OR logical operator. But the IFS statement is the difference between the OR is that you can be able to specify a data here, right? So for each condition, you can specify a different output. So as you notice here, IFS. So to do IFS, let's just clear this first so that you can be able to see, right? So let's say A2 greater than B2, right? Let me just check again. Okay. So let's say A2 greater than B2, then you in IFS function you can specify the value if the condition is false, right? You can each condition you can specify different output, right? If the condition is true. So this is what IFS function or statement can do. So let's say A2 is greater than B2, right? So I want to add the sum of C2, then onwards. Then what you will do is you will put a comma here. The next, you will put another statement, right? So let's say B3 greater than I mean A3 greater than B3, right? Then comma, then just put the value that you want to specify, right? So for this one, I am using the sum function. So I want to add B2 onwards. I want to do that. Then don't forget the closing parenthesis for the IFS. Right? So press enter. What happened? 66,000. So let's break it down. So IFS is, take note, IFS is like OR, right? So if this condition is not true, it will proceed to the other condition. So it's basically just the same as OR. Although the difference here is you can add, you can you can you can specify different outputs per different condition, right? So A2 is greater than B2, which is correct, right? So the output would be the sum of the column C, like using the sum function. So starting from C2 onwards, right? So like in OR, since the first condition is true, it will not proceed to the second condition, right? Because this one is already true. So what gets displayed here is only the sum of the C columns. So it will not proceed to this second condition anymore. Okay? So you can put like or you can put multiple condition. If you want 5 conditions, then go ahead and do that. So but I want to make the first statement false. So let's try, right? If our second conditional statement is working. So I will make this less than again b than the b2. So what happens? The output is 4,000. So why 4,000? Let's go ahead and do that and check. Okay. So A3. So this one is false already, right? So it will not proceed. It will proceed to the next condition, right? So this one is false already. A2 greater than B2, which is wrong. So A3 greater than B3. So it's true. So 50,000 is greater than 1,000, right? So since this one is true, it will proceed to this one. It will output the sum of the B column, right? So it says here 4,000. Correct, right? Because 3,000 plus 1,000. So it's working. So that's how you can use IFS, right? But what if all the condition is false? So let's just put here 0. Oh, I'm sorry. I want to take note that in IFS, um, it will this will you will receive an error message here, an error if all this condition is false. Okay, so let's say this is all false. You will receive this one, no match, right? So unlike the if statement, in the if statement you can specify um, a message, right? If the condition is false, then you can put this one, right? But in IFS you can't do that. Okay, so if one of the conditions, if all this condition is false, then you will receive this one, error. It says no match, right? So in terms of flexibility, if statement is more flexible, right? So okay, now that's done. We will go to the last part of the lesson, which is using if and or in the same formula, right? But for this instance, I did not include or statement because for this example um, it is not applicable. But actually you can add if you want to, right? So actually we can add that. We will add here. We can also add or here. If then or then I will show it to you later. So this part will be confusing, but if you follow along, if you are you find it very confusing along the way, just repeat this video. Okay, so how are we going to do this? So let's start from the beginning. So let's delete all of this, right? Let's delete all of that. So what are we going to do? Inside the if, I'm going to put two and logical operators, right? And I will put one or logical operator. So let's do that. So I'll first put an end here. Then inside the end, let's specify some data, right? So let's say A2 is equal to, I want to put a specific number, 20,000, right? Then I want two conditions, right, in my end logical operator. So I want to be, let's say B2 must be equal to, I want it to be equal to 3,000, right? Follow so far? Okay. So comma. So we're going outside this end logical operator, we're going to put the value if the end logical operator is true, right? So let's try to put, I want to use sum for this example, comma. Then let's go with C2, right? I want to use C2 again, the column C. Then I'm going to use another end, right? So what if this first end operator is false? So I want to have options, right? So let's put another end state. Let's put another if statement here in order to do that. All right. So as you notice, take note we're still inside the if statement. Then inside the if statement, you're going to put another if because I want to add another end logical operator, right? So I'm gonna do that. Then same process. For this one, I want to B3. B3 is equal to. Oh, I think let's try. Okay, let's do that. Let's do that. Sorry. So B3. Let's proceed. B3 is equal to 50,000. Then I want my. I want my. Oh, let's put the value of A3 first. A3 is equal to 50,000. Then B3 must be equal to, let's say I want it to equal to 1,000 first. Right? So A3, 50,000, then B3. So we have our two conditions inside the end, right? So we already have that. So we have, so the last part, just the same, put a comma, then the value, right? The value the value that you want to put if this specific condition is true, right? So I'm gonna say sum, then I'll just proceed with adding the B column. So I'm start with B2 then B, correct? Then we're done with that. Then next I'm gonna add the if another if statement for our OR. So let's say this value, this both of this first and logical operator is false, right? So what happens, it will proceed to this other if statement, right, which is the end. But what if this is false? So both of them are false, right? So I want I want to I want it to be true even though this first two and logical operator is false. So I want to have another options, right? So let's say if I'm gonna put or here, right? So as we discussed earlier, the or logical operator is it will check your conditional statements, right? So if the first conditional statement is false, it will check the second one. Then if it's true, then it, then the condition will be met, right? So let's do that. So we have or here. Take note of the open parenthesis, guys. So make sure that it's all correct and you're not missing any closing parenthesis because it will get confusing. Okay, so wait, I forgot another parenthesis here. Let's see. So I have a I forgot here, so I'll put it here. Three arguments. Okay, so we have if we have some here. Okay, I think we're ready to go. So let's just add another if here. Okay, I'll put, let's say A2, right? We're having an error. Let me just so let's just try this. Let's just try this first, okay? So I'll put the comma here. Let me just double check this. I am missing another. So I got four arguments. So here I got four arguments. Let me just delete this one and just set this to so it will not be confusing for us. Let's just set this to okay. So what happened? Let's check if this is correct, right? So we have if statement here. Okay. Okay, seems good. It's not letting me. Okay. Okay, let's just try this first so that we may not get confused because this is a long formula, right? So what we did, so inside this main if statement, right, we use end. So our first conditional statement for end is A2 is equal to 20,000, then B2 is equal to 3,000. And if it's true, it will display the sum of C columns, right? But we all know that it's not true. So A2 is equal to 20,000. So if you look at the A2 cell, it's not 20,000. So automatically, all these condition here are false, right? If one is false, then all of it is false, right? No matter if this second condition is true, right? So as you see, B2 equal 3,000, that's true. But since we're using n, so this is automatically false. What all that this must all be true, right? When we're using the AND operator. So it's gonna proceed to the if statement that we did here, and we're gonna put AND, right? Then using the AND, we have the logical operators here. We have the conditional statements. So we have two conditional statements. So is A3 equal to 50,000? So true, right? But the B3 must also be true. So B3 is equal to 1,000. Correct. So since all these conditional statements are correct, then it will display the sum of the column B, right? Which is 4,000. which is what's displaying here right now, right? All good so far? Then if all of this is false, then what will happen? It will display this one. So let's make it all false, right? To check if it works. So let's make that false. Let's just put 5. So it worked, right? False. So this condition didn't met the it's false, right? So condition is false. So all the condition, the first end and the second end is false, so it will fall to this value. Condition is false, right? So that's how you can use the that's how you can use all that's how you can use them, right? So now um, let's try the or statement, right? So in order to do that, we're gonna just change this end here, right? Since we're having errors here, let's just try to put another if here, right? If it works. Oh, let me just fix this first. Okay. So where's my if here? So I have an if here. Oh, okay, I see. So as you can see right here, we are going to delete this condition is false because this is the value that you will be putting if all the conditional statements that you did so far is all false. Then it will display this one. So right now, since we're gonna add an the or logical operator, we're gonna delete this first, right? Okay, we're gonna delete that first, then instead we're gonna add another if here. Set another if here. Let's if only, so we have an error here. If only takes 3 arguments. Okay, so it is limiting us to using. Okay, I see. So let me just go back to this one. So we're having errors here. Okay, let's go back a while. So this is the if. Okay, I know now. So let's try or here. Okay. So inside this if, right? Let's add an or. Okay? So let's say if, so we're still inside this second if, so let me just clarify that. So we're inside this if. Then what I did is I first deleted the the fallback value if the condition is false, as you can see earlier. So you can repeat this video if you are getting confused. So here is our previous end. So what I did is I put a comma here. So since this is the value for the if the if this end, if this conditional statement is true, this will be the display value, right? But I want to add another or yet before that. So what I'm going to do, put that here. Okay, let's see. Let me just wait. I will find a way on how we can separate this one. Okay, so let's try this one, right? We have the end here. So what I will do, I put a comma here, then put the or operator. Okay, I'm gonna put the or operator. Right. Actually, guys, you can just put this and logical and or operators. You can just put this in here, right? You can just add here, then put and etc. But what I am trying to do here is that I want that each conditional statement must have a different output, right? And so as you can see on my second and logical operator, we have a different output, right? So I want it to be that way. So for this one, what I'm going to do is I just added another or here. So in this case, on my second if statement, um, they will display the same value, right? The sum. If if one of this, if this is true, then it will display this one. Then if this or statement is true, then it will display the same value. All right. So let's just do that because a while ago, if you notice, we're having errors with if statement. It's limiting to an argument. So let's just do this one so that I can be able to show you how the how to use the or here, right? So the end. So this is not true, right? So I'm gonna put a condition here in or. So let's put or a3. Let's just put greater than b3, right? And a2. Let's let's try a2 first. b2. Then a3 greater than b3, right? Then the sum would be b2, the sum of b2 column b, right? So I'm gonna change that. Oh, okay. Let's not change that. Then we're gonna then that's the time we're going to put the the error message, right? If saying that all the condition is false, right? So don't be confused with the parentheses, just follow this one. So we have the value here, then the open parenthesis for this if statement, then that's when you are going to put a comma, then put the text here. So just like that. Oh, we're having errors. Why is that? It only takes... Oh, I see. This should be inside. My bad. So just put a comma here in some, then okay. So why are we having errors? We're having errors here. Where is my sum? Okay, that's correct. Oh, it says here or only takes 3 arguments. I see. Oh, okay, let's try. Oh, so we're having error here because it says that if only takes 3 arguments. So what's happening here is that we have 4 arguments. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So for this instance, we cannot add the OR statement here. So let's just put this here. So for this instance, let's just delete this one. We'll stick to this one since we're having errors. So the condition is false. So why is it false? Let's check. So the first end statement is 20,000 A2, right? And B2 must be 3,000. So since the A2, this first condition is wrong. So it is all false since we're using AND operator. Then it will proceed to my next if statement. So we have AND 83 is equal to 50,000. So false. So B3 is correct, but it's automatically false because all the condition must all be true. So it will display condition is false. So let's make this correct. So let's say A3, it says here A3 must be 50,000. Okay, so let's set this one to 50,000. So what happened is it displays this one because both your conditional statement inside this AND operator is true, right? So it will display this one. So yeah, that's how you can be able to maximize Google Sheet formulas, right? Using also this if statement and the logical or and operator. So I hope you learned something from this lesson, and we will be discussing more about this on our next lessons. And that is it for now, and goodbye.